Hey everyone, it's Allison here, and in today's video I'm going to be teaching you about yarn preparation. So there are a number of different suppliers that you can order your bare yarn from, and sometimes they come as twisted skeins, and sometimes they come in packages of 5 or 10 as untwisted skeins or hanks. One thing to note about the yarn that you buy is sometimes it comes directly from a spinning mill, and sometimes it comes from a middleman or a reseller. The yarn that I'm unfolding comes from a reseller, and it does not contain any spinning oil in the fiber, and you can tell that because of the color difference. The contents of these skeins of yarn are very similar. They're both a wool nylon, but the skein on the right still contains spinning oil that is used in the spinning process at the fiber mill. You can see the ties on the skein on the right are circular and go around the skein, whereas the ties of the skein on the left are figure 8 ties and go through the skein. Figure 8 ties are better to have to prevent tangling of your yarn when you're dyeing. And so if you do get yarn without figure 8 ties, I would recommend retying your ties to figure 8 ties or adding extra figure 8 ties to your skein. And I'm going to show you how to do that right here. I'm going to reuse this tie, so I'm untying the knot. And I'm going to split the yarn into two sides, and I'm going to go under and over and then back under and back over where the two ends will meet, and you can tie a small knot. Make sure your knot is not too tight so that your yarn can move freely around while you are dyeing it, and this will prevent any white spots from appearing on your yarn. After you have tied and prepared your skeins in that way, you want to soak them in water and a wetting agent such as a textile detergent or even some dishwashing liquid. First, clean out your sink or bowl or bucket, whichever you are using for soaking. Today I'm using Synthropol, which is a textile detergent and wetting agent, and it helps the wool get wet all the way through the yarn strand. So I'm using very hot water and about a teaspoon of Synthropol. And Synthropol and dishwashing liquid are surfactants, and they will help remove any spinning oil from the fibers, and they will also help prepare the wool for dyeing by getting it as wet as it can right through the skein. Now I'm adding my 3 skeins to my sink. Normally I have a fairly full sink of yarn getting ready for dyeing. So if you only have a few skeins, you can totally do this in a small sink or a bowl. And you want the water to get right through the skein, so I'm giving it some squishes, pushing it down under the water. These are superwash yarn. There is no worry of felting these. But I'm not handling these too roughly, so you could do this with your non-superwash wool as well. They've soaked for about 20 to 30 minutes. You can let them soak longer, that is not a problem. But the longer you let them soak, the more likely you will have better prepared skeins. So try to give it at least a half an hour to an hour, I would say. Now I am adding my reusable zip ties and I am squeegeeing out the water from each skein. I find this method of water removal much easier on my wrists and my shoulders than actually twisting or wringing out the skeins. If you do not have any reusable zip ties, you can also use a strand of cotton yarn or twine. And these skeins are now ready for dyeing. If you have any questions about dyeing wool or yarn, you can ask me over on patreon.com/Allison Barnes Yarn.